this part of your body and this part of your body are always in the fight, when you have that, we say, stop your mind. That's not possible. So there is a bridge inside of us that is a throat. It literally is a bridge that connects our heart to our brain, to our mind. If we work on that, we get rid of that fight of finding a connection. It's right here. It's visible. It's physical. So work with that throat. There are breath works that work with the Ujjayi breath, works with that. Or just be mindful of this. Massage it, hug it, just give it love, and just trust that it can create that beautiful connection and make these two talk, so that you can release whatever you need to release. So physically I connect to that part of my body, and I say, hey, you work for them to connect. And I laugh about it sometimes. And something that I learned when I was going through a big breakup, 11-year relationship. And I went directly to I call her my guru, but it's like, she's a therapist and so much more.
Right, mental.
And I was like, I need help now. And I rationally, I know what I'm going through, and I know that this is where I need to be, and blah, blah, blah. How the heck do I do it? Like, I don't know. I don't have the means to survive this. And like, okay, first of all, if it happened to you now, it's because you can handle it. The universe works in perfect timing. So if it happens to you right now and not 5 years ago and not in 3 years, it's because you're ready to handle it.
You were just mentioning your passion for teaching, and you discovered that because you had to move 30 minutes away and started teaching. Parents, kid, of course, parents of kids. Your friend, like, how was it? Who was it? Friends, kids of friends?
Yeah, so like, when you have a plan, right. But you don't really know if it's the correct or not. So I was like, okay, I'll just do uni. Everybody's doing uni. Right. And I chose like international relations, and I was like, okay, yeah, it's like countries together and learning the cultures and learning how in the history how they managed to talk to each other, different countries. So like, oh yeah, I'll do that, but it wasn't my real passion, right? And I was working at a golf club, and this mom comes to me with a 4-year-old. It's like, I know you're like bilingual. Could you teach my kid? And
at that time, it was English and Italian?
I was in Italy, just at a golf club doing my university.
Got you.
I was in my hometown living with my parents.
So she's speaking to you in Italian?
Yeah. She comes to me, is like, oh, but I know you're bilingual. My kid will go to a big international, like the American school in Italy. Right. And he needs to be prepared. So if this summer you can just teach him English. And so I end up in this beautiful house, 20 minutes away from my hometown, and I become really close to them. And then they moved to this big city where I wanted to live and go to uni. And so I was like, yeah, we're moving there. Just come and continue teaching for our kids while you're doing your studies. And then I was like, oh, this is a perfect chance. I can also move in like with some roommates and leave the small town I was from. It's like, okay, let's do it. And then from that family, the word spread, and I had like 11 families that I was going to each family. So university in the morning, right. And then in the afternoon, and I could pay rent, bills, and not be a burden for my family. So I was really happy about that. But it's like I wanted to go to uni one way, and then just life brought me to my real passion. I was like, wow, I actually really love this, and teaching. I want to do this. So I hurried up. I finished my uni degree, and then went to Ireland to study how to teach English as a second language.
And what kind of techniques did they teach you in Ireland?
It was amazing, and I love that I didn't have any experience, because that course really taught you how to. And I was exposed to students every day. So every day, in the morning we would learn how to teach, and the afternoon I would teach a whole class, and that's.
Oh, they threw you right into it.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, you're practicing while you're learning, and. Just saying this, it just reminds me of where I am right now, but we're going to talk about that later. Yeah. And it's so connected to this, just mind blowing. But anyways, so they really thought taught us a technique of how to start a lesson, how to guide people through the lesson, and how it all makes sense at the end, connecting to the part where you started with. So like to really be mindful that you're teaching this and why you're teaching it and why do you want them to learn this, and it all makes sense. So if it's a grammar lesson or a vocabulary lesson, and how it starts and opens with a topic, they have no idea what the lesson is about. So you ask some questions about the topic, but you don't dive deep into it yet. So you just like give them a kind of sense of what's going to happen, and then you dive deep into it, and then you close connecting to the start. So it's kind of full circle. And that was like, it was so amazing to learn that technique first, because now I use it with my yoga classes. So it all makes sense.
Is there a name for that technique?
No, I don't know actually.
I like this. I like the art of things. As you know, here in Core Cultural, we really love bridging art, culture, and of course community. But I'm becoming more fascinated about the art of conversation, the art of teaching, the art of bringing people together. So that's very interesting. I would love for you to break that framework down for us, if you can.
I have to.
The only reason I say
you talked to me about stand-up comedy and how like
stand-up improv.
Yeah, and it actually, many of the comedians that I love, I really like when they start with a topic and they do their whole like set, they talk and it's funny, and at the end they bring it back to the first sentence they said, and it's like, that's so genius, because you I didn't know that this all was gonna happen, and then you bring me back to the first thing or the first topic you said, and it all makes sense. So that's kind of like
I don't remember the term for that. There is a term for that. If everyone in the leave it in the comments if you know that term, but I know exactly what you're talking about. It's
full cycle.
Yeah, and of course, it's like they can drop it at any time.
And I love this in conversations with friends, where like you're having a conversation and the topics go round and round, and you might dive into other things. And when your friend brings up something you said at the beginning for another topic and makes like jokes about it, I think it's so nice. Like, oh wow, they're listening to you, they understand you, they just like, or just pick up something that you said that resonated with them. I think it's such a wonderful art of talking to people when you realize, oh wow, they remembered that about me, about what I said.
Right.
I think it's very
engaged,
interesting.
truly connected. I feel like we are in a time now where there's so many teachers, there's so many viewpoints, perspectives, and it reminds me similarly these like cycles that we go through as people. There are times where everyone wanted to be a rapper, and then everyone wanted to be a DJ. But now I think we're seeing it is that people are hungry for knowledge. So there's a gap that's being filled. Everybody is tapping into their inner teacher or storyteller. But I think people forget that, to be a good teacher, you do have to come from some formal educations, techniques that you've learned. So that's interesting to me. I really would love for you to dive more into that. Because that seems like that kind of shifted your perspective of how to teach.
Yeah, I've never thought about it until now, as we are talking about it, that I'm doing the exact same thing that I did in that, what was it, 2016?
It's like second nature now. It's just, it's flowing.
And it's amazing how that school, the International House of Dublin, if you want to go.
Shout out. Is there a phrase that they say in Ireland?
I don't know, maybe.
You tell me, like.
I have no idea.
Is there something they say for like shout outs? Anyways.
I don't know. But anyways, their format is this. They have new teachers, I wouldn't say they're teachers yet, because they start the program and they have this passion for teaching, or they just want to, they enroll to this program. And the mornings are learning how to teach. And the afternoons, you are teaching a class of students from different nationalities. And what they do, genius, is that to have that crowd and to make their students, so the future teachers, able to experience teaching, they put donation-based or free classes. So the foreigners that are in Ireland studying or working, so there were Brazilians, South Americans in general, a lot of Korean, Japanese, some Taiwanese too. They have free or donation-based, I think, access to English. And with the knowledge that it's our first time teaching them. So like every day they would have different teachers, every day they would have different topics, and they would stay in the class for 3 hours, because I would have a 40-minute class, and then my peer would have another 40-minute class where we have the experience that we can teach somebody and grow. And we start from zero. So the first ones might not be the best classes ever, but these guys are not paying, or they're paying very little. And then they have the exposure to English language and with different teachers.
Wow.
So that's so smart. And I'm actually just realizing now that I'm repeating it with Taipei Mindful Gatherings now.
Yeah, so you're creating your own version of this process.
Thank you for making me remember this.
I didn't do nothing. I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
But that's really cool. And when it comes to teaching, I guess that leads to my first, main question. As you know, we have some areas that I wanna kind of dive into. But I love why. I love asking why, the purpose that drives you. Carol, what do you feel is your why when it comes to teaching and bridging people, communities, cultures?
Wow, that's a really deep.
That's a dive.
That's a dive. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's that the kick in the butt. Like, I didn't know why. I knew it was something I trusted. And when you feel that you trust the process, I discovered the whys. I can tell you the whys of the past, but I cannot tell you the whys of right now, because I'm still exploring and it's still changing day by day. I feel that what I'm realizing now is that I have this drive to bring people together and to make those connections with them. And among the people that are in my class when I teach, or the people in the community of Taipei Mindful Gatherings, it's really, I'm a kind of a spectator of, and it's kind of like weird because I am the role, like the main character in this community, but I love being a spectator and seeing how the mechanism of the socializing, and I create an event, but it's all their work then from when I give them the space to explore, like the event we created together with Torden. And it was so amazing that we didn't really have to lead, like people were leading each other. And that's I think that's why I'm doing it, is like, it's also a social experiment. I'm learning so much about how people do it naturally with just the opportunity that is created to have the space for it. And then they just can come, and kids are like this. They have it inside of them. It's amazing to see how you just give them the space for it, activities to choose. Like the way we do it is more child-led and child-based. So we have activities there for them. Once we teach them that activity, they can go back to it whenever they want without our guidance and without us telling them they have to do that. So once they know how to do something, they're on it and they can just explore. And it's so nice to be just observing what is happening and where they go and why they choose that activity and not another one, and how they are exploring something that they really need without even knowing that they really need it. So some children are exploring, like they're weak on their hands, their hand grip, and they're 2 years old and they're diaper training. So inside of them, they have this urge of getting rid of the diaper, but consciously they don't know that's why they're getting, they want all the activities they go for are hand grip activities, like pegs or pouring, and they're getting stronger in their hands because they're inner.
He wants to take the diaper off.
Yeah. And they don't know that's why it is, but there's something inside of you that guides you, and they don't have a strong ego to fight that inner drive. They don't have a strong ego when they're so small. So we're fighting our urge that guides us wherever we need to go, because we have that ego of like, oh, we should do this and this, and this is not correct, and this is right. So we're fighting that and we're not letting it flow. But kids don't have that ability to be so ego-centered, right? They're like, whatever is telling me, I'll do it. So they go in water and they touch, and they're really sensorial at that age. And it all makes sense when they're like, oh, wow, he really needed that hand grip strength to get his pants down and up to do that training for when he's then an adult and he will not use a diaper anymore. And it's so, I observe it, and it's recurring that kids that don't have that strength in their hands go for those activities. It's kind of like that inner drive that tells you where to go in order to the next steps of your life. And I think as adults, we kind of lose that power of connected with that is maybe your intuition.
Right.
So we're
gonna talk about what you think that is. That's a little bit maybe at the 30-minute mark. We're gonna start trying to understand a little bit more of the ethereal and what you think, because I know you teach. You come from a formal teaching background, but now you're kind of teaching in a space that's dealing with, what I sense is energy, perhaps spirits. So I'm also curious, now that you're observing people in these environments, I know you made the example of the child. What kind of things do you see people doing now that's like metaphoric to the hand grip? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
In your classes.
It's nice. It's nice to observe. And I don't know, there is something that it's nice to observe also people that come for the first time, right, or they're new to yoga or new to meditation, and how they try to find their place in a new space. So it's and everybody has their own way of dealing with that. Some people go for they come with a friend, and so that's the way they get in. Or some people text me as hey, I'm not good at stretching. I'm like, there's no such thing as you cannot do yoga because you're not good at stretching. So I try to really allow anybody to join and stop this as much as I can, the fear of the unknown, because I was a lot like that. I would not join big groups. I would not join new things because I'm not in control or I'm not confident. And and then once I started getting rid of all those things that are the stereotypes, I was kind of locked in this box, and I was really different back then. And then I just said, you know what, I need to go with the flow and let my life happen. And this woman once told me, there's no right and wrong life or choices. It's the real choices. So what resonates, just get rid of all the fears around the topic and just see if it still resonates. You still want to do it. So you have to move to a different country. Okay, get all the fears lined up of why you're scared of going to that country. Get them all away and see if you're still driven to that decision. And if it still makes sense, okay, then that's the right thing, or the real thing. So, and with people, I feel like there is something inside of them that wants them to join our events or join our gatherings, but they're so scared of it, or just think they're not able to do it or not able to meditate. And once they come and they find this calm, relaxed, chill space, welcoming, they were like, okay, yeah, I want to do more of it, or oh yeah, this is enough, I can do other things. Or they, last night we had a meditation, and what I was driven to say in that moment was sometimes you're here and you come and you have the intention, or you have the expectation that this is going to change my life, this meditation is going to bring the peace that I need, and then you're there to meet somebody else. And you're going to leave this gathering with something that you weren't even expecting, like a new friend, or you talk to somebody and you have a new work opportunity. So wherever you are guided, maybe we think that we're guided there for the reason or the expectation we have. And it's so nice to see that actually people end up like this. A girl came to a class and told me, hey, my friend came last week. It was her first yoga class. Right. And I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And I always give these cards. They're a message from the universe, I say. Nice. And they're really, I love these cards because they really speak to you. Armel came to one yoga class, and he knows the deck I'm talking about. And I love that these are all designed by a girl that lived in Taipei.
I wish you would have brought them.
Yeah, I wish. Next time. Nice. And this girl came to yoga. We were in the park. She came to yoga in the park, and she said that she realized through the yoga class, and maybe with some sentences that I said, just to guide them to their breath and to realize, to talk to their body, right? Talk to your body, have a conversation with it. We're always stuck in here, right? But let's make a huge conversation about it with your body too. And she said, wow, I realized how stressed I was and how not connected I was. And the card just told me what I needed to do. And so she came for a yoga session, and she ended up leaving her job the next day. So quitting her job and starting her own business. And she had that inside of her. Her intuition was kicking and telling her, this is where you need to go. And that card was the reason why she decided all of that. So, you have an expectation of going to a gathering because of the name of the gathering or the activity that we're doing, but you don't know what's behind it. It could be that, or it could be so much more, like a job opportunity or a new friend, a best friend that will introduce you to more people. And so that's the why I'm doing it right now, to create those opportunities so people can actually go where they are meant to go, And it's not the yoga, meditation, or hikes that we do, and it's really the creating the opportunities for, I know that people will be there because they need to be there, not for me or for type A mindful gatherings, but because there's so much more and bigger. Yeah.
Right. That is literally like what's happening subconsciously of how you described, whether it's a baby or an adult. It's as if we are looking to increase our strength in certain areas. And, with people in these mindful gatherings, it's almost as if they're guiding themselves. Yeah. They know where they need to improve.
Yeah.
You mentioned something that kind of stuck with me at our event. This aspect of, I don't know how you phrased it. You said presenting the work, but not doing. How does it go? You said I present the work, but I don't do it.
Yeah.
How does it, like, what's that?
So it's like when I teach children, right? You give the opportunity and then you step back and you observe what's happening. So I just create a space, and then it's not about me. It's about the people that interact in this space and keep it alive. It's like when you plant the seed, it's not about you. It's the seed will grow and it will come out in different ways. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like I don't do the work. So that gets a lot of responsibility off of me. And I let the people I let go of that responsibility, control. So I create the event, and it's hard. Like I've been working on this, on letting go and letting people I think years and years ago, I would be at a gathering and be like, is everybody happy? Are they all enjoying themselves? Right. Okay, this person is quiet, like what she's going through. Oh my gosh, it's my fault. Or I didn't create so I have to do something about it. So always that kind of like in control, right? Like I want everybody to have a good experience so that I can be happy. And then I was
very restaurant-esque hospitality, interesting.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know what? And then I put myself in their position. I was like, do I want somebody, like if I'm quiet and I'm observing, that's my space. Why would you come into my space and make it better if I'm okay with this? And then it takes out, like with children, you should never do things for them if you know that they can do it by themselves, because you're trusting them to do it. Mm-hmm. And so the most important thing is that you give them trust.
Right.
And you give that space for them, and you're like, I know you can handle this. And this gives you a lot of less stress and less responsibility out of this. Right. So my mindset is like, you know what? I'll create this, and whatever happens, happens. It's on you guys, and in a good way, of course. But like, yeah. And the first thing is always like, you want everybody to have a good time. But sometimes you don't need to have a good time too. Like sometimes we have to go in the
breakthroughs.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, you know what? I will not be the cutting a flow if that person has to go through all of that, like a kid. If he falls or if he's struggling with something and I interrupt him and tell him, oh, you do it like this, I'm not giving the opportunity to that child to succeed in it. I can be in the back and cheer him for that, or I'd be just observing him. And if you need my help, I'm here for you. But I trust that you can do it. And I trust that if you need help, you ask me for it, which is also not a failure. So that's what I'm teaching the kids right now, is like, you know what? Life is difficult. Life is hard. This activity is difficult. So I can show it to you again, but I trust that you can do it. And you find your own way of doing it. And the same in gatherings with adults. You just need to give them the trust, and then they know. Like they tune into that intuition and they know where to go. And if they want to be seated, quiet and silent all the time, that's up to them. And they're learning something from that experience. And I have lots of people that are like, when you ask us to share in the groups, I'm always quiet. I'm like, yeah, that's all you need. Like you're getting all the information that you need by being quiet and observing other people. And when you will feel like sharing and saying like what you think about the topic, then feel free to do it. You have the space. I trust that you can do it. And so that gives them so much power to be like, hey, maybe next time I can be that person that talked. But if not, that's also okay. It means you need more information inside of you.
So
like same thing that happens with kids.
It's happening in adults.
Yeah.
This gets me very intrigued because, I'm very curious about what's happening right now, 2024, and we're in a very I feel we're in a turning I sense that, we're all kind of, the generations are angry at the generations above.
Yes.
The generations above are disregarding the generations below. And there's this turmoil, there's this division. But at the same token, I feel like it's opening up this space, as you kind of are talking about creating new environments, new spaces for people to rediscover themselves. And I'm noticing a lot of, from people I meet, adults, children, the adults that I'm meeting, I'm 35, so we're from a similar generation. We didn't grow up yet. When I say this, I don't mean this literally. Mm-hmm. I mean this like EQ wise. Mm-hmm. EQ. And this brings me back to, I don't know if you're familiar with Ken Robinson. Do you know who Ken Robinson is? So Ken Robinson is an educator, huge visionary when it comes to education and the environments around systematic education that stemmed from capitalism and industrialization, and how our school systems as a massive whole have been designed to produce
factory workers.
Potentially, yes. And, he analyzes this in a way that's very akin to, let's look at somebody who goes through the system perfectly. Who does that person become? And actually the most perfect version of that system is almost like a professor, an academic professor / maybe doctor, lawyer. So it's almost like a very compartmentalized, specialized role. Mm-mm. That it's like target points that you can't really apply to massive amounts of people. Yeah. And then he has that story about this girl who is completely, not happy at school. She's having problems learning this and that. And, teachers call her parents, and the parents come in, and then this one teacher said, look at your daughter. And they're looking at her through the glass, the one-way glass. And before he left the room, he turns on the radio at the time. And he says, look at your daughter. And you see the daughter, and she's like dancing over there. And he's like, your daughter doesn't really have an issue. She needs to be in a different environment, different school, with people like her who she can't sit still. Some people need to think, need to move in order to think. It's a beautiful story. That woman ends up becoming the creator of Cats, right? She goes to this new school.
Exactly.
She's around people just like her.
Oh, amazing.
Again, I'm just paraphrasing.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, but that story really stuck with me, because it's like, how many people don't get that moment though? Exactly. Don't get that moment for an environment change. And then it just compartmentalizes, builds, and you're an adult all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
And right? And it's like
they take out the experience from us. So like they're doing the best that they can. Our parents, our caregivers, they try to do their best that they can based on what they learned or their traumas from the generation before them, And so what I always teach when I talk to the parents of the kids I teach. So I think the most important work that I'm doing now is that bridge of the parents and the kids. It's the kids, I can help them as much as they want, but they already have it inside of them. I don't have to do much work there. Mm-hmm. The work is behind the scenes with parents.
That's wild.
And man. I always tell parents, you're like, they're maybe their first kids or the second one, and they have no idea what they're doing, or they do because they grow up in a big family and they've done it all their life. But I always tell them, when something is it's off, or it's wrong, or you feel it's wrong, or your kid is behaving in a way that you don't accept, take a step back, shut up, quiet, and observe. And your kid is going to tell you exactly what he needs. And you can do it adults. Like somebody in the room is like, oh, why is he acting like that? Well, just observe. Observe how you're feeling. And if it's triggering you for some kind of reason, then you have to do the work inside of you. But if it's something that you think you can explore and help the kid with, then observe and see without judgment what is happening. So the kid is like, I don't know, playing with something dangerous, let's say. Okay, but what is he actually doing? But it's so dangerous. He's playing with the washing machine, and the washing machine has powder, and it's so dangerous. Like, okay, but observe the kid. What is he doing? He's touching the buttons. Okay, that's all he needs. Give him a remote control or give him something to push. He's the hand gripped in him. He doesn't want to make a mess. He doesn't want to be naughty. Curious. He's trying to imitate what adults are doing in his own way, and his drive inside of him. He's not doing it on purpose to get on your nerves. Observe what he needs and give it to him, and you will see. We call it normalizing. You will see him normalize. So from blah, 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 to what he really needs, and he'll be thankful, and you will realize how thankful he is for that. And you can do it with adults. You see that some adults come and like hug you, and they're not a hugger. And you know, oh, wow, I gave him something that he needed. I met his needs. And with kids, we use that word. Oh, you met his needs? That's all he needed. And now look, he's at peace. So like, because they're not able to process their emotions as well as we do. I'm not sure we do it as well, but we're still in the process of learning that. But kids have no idea. So they imagine this fire inside of you, right? As we sometimes have panic attacks. So we have that fire inside of us. And kids have no idea how to handle that. So they might burst into whatever happens, no? And our role is to be next to them and be like, hey, dude, I know, I understand that's hard. Just get it out, get that energy out. And then we can talk about handling that the next time in a different way. But in that moment, there is no way that I can help that person or that kid. So I was like, okay, I'm with you. I'm there with you. I'm observing what is going on. Are you thirsty? Are you hungry? Is there some? Just observe and be like, okay, I'm going to get that intuition. Tune in. And you can do it with adults. You can do it with kids. And it's such a good learning way, because at first we're like, okay, let's use what I know, the tools that I know to help you. It's not about you. It's about what their issue is. And just stay. I was like, shut up, observe, listen. What's going on? And be there for that person, that kid, whatever. And just be like, hey, I'm teaching you in this moment a huge lesson of how to be there when somebody is losing their shit. I'm teaching you that when you lose your shit, you can be like me and calm down and be there. Like most of the time, and I observe this a lot, kids learn how to be scared by looking at the reaction of parents in situations. And then, I should be scared like that. Like when they fall down and person, oh my God, this happened to you. Oh, now I know how hurt I am based on the reaction I had from adults.
Yeah, that's a wild one.
So like they fall down and they hurt, they see blood. It's scary. Try to be quiet as an adult and just let him experience that pain. And then if it cries, it's because he's reacting to a pain that he has, but don't interfere into that moment for them and let them experience that. I also do that a lot. Like I see somebody, like the kids are running and they don't have the best stability and they fall like, I do that, right? And then I always say, oh no, I hope I didn't. But for me, it was like the same. I was like 6 years old and I was wild as a kid. Like I loved to like touch the soil and play outside. I wasn't scared of any animals until I was in my living room, and let's say that we had like a table that was a little bit higher than this. And we lived in the countryside. A little mouse this big crawled into our living room and went like, I don't know, under something. My grandma's reaction to that, she jumped on the table. And I was like just observing this little mouse and I thought it was cute. I'm terrified about rats from that moment on. And I just remember, I think I was talking about this in therapy or something. It's like, why am I so scared of rats? And if I go back when I was young, I was not scared of animals, or like I'm okay with snakes, cockroaches, anything. Why is it with mice? And I went back to that moment where I saw my grandma losing her control, her balance, for something that is, for me, was not that thing, right?
That's fascinating, yeah.
I got it, grabbed it, and put it inside of me. And now I'm scared of the same thing.
Held it.
Because she lost balance. And I always tell parents, when something is big for you, you can lose the balance as much as you want. But when something is big for your kid, try to, as much as you can, keep that balance. So you're teaching him to deal with his emotions, but you are not teaching him how to be scared or not about things, you know? So try as much as you can, step back, observe, if you need to leave the room, give it to somebody else if it's too dangerous for you. Of course, like if it's a dangerous situation, act upon it, but try to be as calm as you can so you don't transmit your fear. Because fear is like this. I get it from you. I eat it. I have it in my body. And for me, it was that. My grandma was so scared. She lost balance. And I was like, oh, when is she going to smile about it? She did not. She lost her balance.
Visceral reaction.
I got it, grabbed it, and I was like, yeah, she has a phobia. She still has right now. She can't even look at like pictures of it. And I got the same exact thing. Same exact. I was like, oh yeah, that little moment got into that for me.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Phobias are interesting.
Yeah. And for me, I connected to that because before that, I was like, oh, so cute, little mice. And I remember saying that. And then when I saw her lose balance and be so scared, and I felt like maybe because I'm, I don't know, really sensitive to these things. Some children are like, yeah, your problem, amazing. I'm not like that. So your problem, my problem. So I just felt like I just caught it and be like, hey, let's share this fear together. Yeah. And it became mine
natural
too.
Natural human empathy.
Yeah, I wish it was. I didn't. But it's also nice to see and be like, oh wow, that's how fear works. And now I can teach parents that this is how so strongly it is. Like when I had a kid fall down and like really open his forehead, and in that moment I was like, no reaction. No talking, just help that kid. What does he need? Okay, you're good. Yeah. Oh yeah, it hurts, right? It hurts. Oh yeah, we're gonna get you some help. It's all good. And if it hurts, it hurts. I'm here for you. Without the other teacher was like losing. I was like, okay, give me the kid. It's fine. And just try as freaky as it is, because you're seeing the blood come out of his face and everything. He's like, you know what? I need to be the one in charge now, because he's not able to be in charge in this moment. He cannot go to a hospital on his own. He cannot understand what is happening. So I'm teaching him. It's like I'm not traumatizing him even more from the experience.
Right.
And I think it's something that we can work with adults with that too.
Right.
Like, I'm here for you, and you know what? It's hard sometimes, and I wish somebody would do it with me without losing their balance, so that I can lose mine so happily. So I can just.
I mean, we all hope that, I think. And I'm listening to this, and you know, those who know me or listen to me, they know I do a lot of free association, sometimes very random, but I'm listening to these kind of building block examples, and it's like I'm associating that with, you know, leadership and the leadership we have as people, you know, starting with the parents, starting with from who the parents learn from, which could be communities, leading to religion, you know, of course, then religion might be parallel to government. But I'm understanding more and more about like how people use fear to.
I was thinking the same thing as you were talking.
How people use fear to
manipulate,
to instill, to, you know, even
it's the easy way.
Very interesting. Yeah, just yesterday, even like, you know, news report here in Taiwan. Be careful. It's the summer. A lot of kids are going to the pool. There's an increased chance of them drowning.
Yes.
And it's like, this is news.
That little seed inside of you
is
there.
News? Yeah. This is news, guys? Like, what, why?
Yeah.
What do you think is the intentions behind creating fear? Why is it that? Why do we use that?
First of all, because we're so used to it. We're so used to it. I had this huge fear of being kidnapped as a child. And I know that like my grandpa, and I loved he was an amazing man, and he had no harm in what he was like, no intentional harm in what he was saying, but like generations are like this. We're probably saying stuff that will not resonate with the kids that we're raising, right? So, and we think that it's the way. So our grandparents were like, oh, be scared, so they were very worried. If you go on the street, you might be kidnapped. And it was the safest moment in generations. Now you're scared of being kidnapped or anything.
I see you look back and you're like,
that moment you're telling me.
That was the time.
That's the time you're telling me to be scared of being kidnapped. Like, look at the.
Damn, Grandma, all those days I missed. I could have been out there free.
Yeah, and there's this thing in Italy about like, or I don't know, maybe in other countries too, the gypsies. Oh, the gypsies will kidnap your kids. So you have to be, and it's like, oh. fear-based information. Like if you really go to the campgrounds where the gypsies live, they maybe don't have that intention of like stealing your kids or kidnapping your kids, but it was the thing of thinking that that sentence would keep me safe. And what did it what did it do and what did it produce in reality is a fear based of the stranger. And so that's why we're so scared of each other and scared of, I love this in New York. I was just walking and people were coming up to me like, hey, how are you? Like, and Ireland is the same. There's like less, I mean, I think Ireland is a little bit more getting into the fear of the people you don't know. But I remember 15 years ago, I was like, oh, I'm so free here. Nobody's scared. And in Taiwan, the same. I feel so safe without those fears. And it's just, I think it's just something that we associate, like, I'll make you fear so you don't do it, so that that you're safe. And it's the opposite. You have to experience the things to learn from that. And then you're always safe. You're always guided. Like if you're really tuned in, then you realize, okay, this is the right thing for me. I can do it. And you know you have the support and trust from your family, your neighbors, your friends. That's all that I try to reproduce in my community. Hey, do whatever you think. And if it's a failure, if it's like the wrong relationship, going back with an ex, you have to go through it. And then there will be that moment where you realize, okay, this is my path, or, oh, I tried this one. But it's like, not fear-based. Get that fear out of you. And I'm still dealing with that. My first reaction is fear, because it's so deep inside of us. We're
it's ingrained.
Yeah, it's in the movies, it's in the reality shows, it's in the past, in our family. But are you not scared of doing that, of moving so far away from home? The fear is I call it, there's a thin line between fear and intuition, because they work in the same way. You know, it's like something an emotion you feel in your body. So intuition maybe resonates more with the heart, and fear in the belly. You know, that kind of feeling that you're like, oh my gosh, it's fear because it's gonna happen, and the other way is like intuition because it's gonna happen. So that's that thin line that we're always hiding more in the fear, and be like, okay, that's why I shouldn't do it, because I'm scared of it. And getting that fear out of the way gets you to realize, oh, that's intuition. That's why I should do it. It's a thin line that a lot of people fall, or I mean, we're all in that kind of like juggling. Is it fear or is it intuition? Like I'm having that fear, like, oh, my boyfriend met this person in a group of friends. Oh my gosh, he's going to cheat on me with this girl. Is it fear or is it intuition? Is it really going to happen? Are they meant to meet at that event to then come together and be, is that intuition? Like, oh yeah, that's the girl he will be. Or is it fear based on trauma and generation and whatever, you know?
The shoulders.
You know, so that's really
the consciousness, the angel and the.
We're always balancing there. Is it a fear-based thing of like, oh, I'm fear of like not being enough and not success, blah, 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 and somebody can take whatever I have? Is that an internal work, or is it an intuition of like, yeah, and it's always fear. It's always fear. It's intuition works in different ways.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
I learned myself. I mean, I'm not talking for everybody, but
the work is in progress always. But I like that you linked this idea of safety is always this justification that I think we all use all the time.
Yeah.
It's because I love you. It's because I care about you. Because it's for your safety. It's because it's. But is that for them or is that for us? Are we
in control like that? Yeah.
What do you feel is the again, if I think fear is necessary, right? But what do you feel?
That's an instinct that we have since that's from the past.
That's deep. What do you feel are some tools that help some of your students, some of your type A mindful gathering guests? How do you help people through fear?
Thank you for this question, because I think I'm still learning how to, like, there are so many techniques, so many different ways, and everybody has their own way and they click with different things. And we were talking about this at the last documentary night that we had with the Type A Mindful Gatherings. And I was so amazed, again, by sitting at the back and just be quiet and listening to people and observe where they were going with the topic. We watched actually a documentary about intuition. Wow. If you have time, watch it. It's called Insay.
Insay.
Insay. So it's a word from Iceland. I think it's
that sounds cool.
Yeah, and the whole topic afterwards, of course, we have a little gathering and we chat and we share ideas and what do you think about the documentary and in general about the topic of the documentary. And for me, it's a really nice tool to be just quiet and observe what people, because I have a lot of things that I want to share and say, but sometimes it's not about me, it's about them. And just to listen to how people get that intuition or how people tune into that to get rid of the fears. And it was so nice because everybody has their own way. There are people that dance, people that sing, people that do breath work, people that draw. So really understanding what makes you feel safe inside of you. And we all have different ways. If you look back at when you were a child and you know like what you really wanted and what you passionate about, like observing ants, observing insects, I don't know, but that made you focus, that made you get rid of everything outside. And people dance, people play the piano. And so there are so many different things. For me, it's breath. I really do some like breathing techniques when I'm lost in my mind or and something that I really learned is my throat. This part of your body and this part of your body are always in the fight, you know, when you have that, we say, stop your mind. That's not possible. So there is a bridge inside of us that is a throat. It literally is a bridge that connects our heart to our brain, to our mind. If we work on that, we get rid of that fight of finding a connection. It's right here. It's visible. It's physical. So work with that throat. There are breath works that work with the Ujjayi breath works with that. Or just be mindful of this. Massage it, hug it, just give it love, and just trust that it can create that beautiful connection and make these two talk, so that you can release whatever you need to release. So physically I connect to that part of my body, and I say, hey, you work for them to connect. And I laugh about it sometimes. And something that I learned when I was going through a big breakup, 11-year relationship. And I went directly to I call her my guru, but it's like, she's a therapist and so much more.
Right, mental.
And I was like, I need help now. And I like rationally, I know what I'm going through and I know that this is where I need to be and blah, blah, blah. How the heck do I do it? Like, I don't know. I don't have the means to survive this. And like, okay, first of all, if it happened to you now, it's because you can handle it. The universe works in perfect timing. So if it happens to you right now and not 5 years ago and not in 3 years, it's because you're ready to handle it. So trust that inside of you. You're ready to handle it. If it happened to you and if the things aligned up for it to happen in this moment, you're fine. You're safe. Second of all, let's observe like what is causing it. And she gave me a technique that I use still today. And it's like, write down just a sentence of when you feel that you are judging yourself and you're fighting something or you're judging somebody else. Write it down and just write even just a sentence, just describe what you're judging. Oh, I'm judging myself because I answered this way to a friend and then I felt guilt because I didn't use the correct words. That's it. Read it the next day and see how you feel about it. I promise you, like, this is what I felt, that I was rewiring my brain, reteaching myself how to think about myself. So you're teaching your brain. I was like, okay, notice it, note it down. And the next day you read it in a different way. I was like, what? And it gets out of my system through that pen, that energy that was stuck somewhere, that guilt, that self-judgment just gets out and leaves your body. And it's such a good practice. We do yoga. We have a special class that is journaling, restorative yoga, where I bring up a topic. And while we are sitting in poses for a longer time, and it's more relaxing. It's not a flow. So we just sit there and I don't know, it could be frog pose or whatever. And you're just breathing into it. And then we stop and we write. Then we get into another pose. We do it for 2 or 3 minutes. We stop and we write again. We get out of that pose and we write. Whatever comes up, just get rid of it. You don't need to know what you need to deal with. It just comes up and leaves your body through writing. So this is one of the techniques that I use a lot. Is that just whatever happens, and why are you judging yourself for that? You don't need to know why. It just needs to leave your body. And a good technique would be writing down. But everybody has their own way. People write songs. People sing it out loud. It's
Right.
the energy is stuck somewhere. It cannot stay there. So you have to find a way to get it out. And through the mouth, through the hands, through the feet. It's just like we are breathing in and out, right? So the breath is one, the writing is another. Like really find your way of thinking about it as something that is stored inside somewhere. Yeah, and you want to release it. You don't even need to know if it was somebody, it's connected to someone, something that they said. It's anyways, you accepted it and you made it come into your body. So you are the only one that can get rid of it. And so you have to find your own way. And that takes time, or I call it the lollipop moment. I don't know if you watched it, there's this guy that has a TED Talk about the lollipop moment. And it's basically, long story short, is about something that somebody says or does that resonates with you. And you pick that up and you change your whole life with it. You know, so like, I don't know, I'm on a bus and I hear somebody talking about something and I look into that topic randomly because I feel my intuition is there telling me, dive deep into that. And there were 10 other people talking about other different things, but I didn't pick those up. But why did I pick that? It resonates with you. Yeah. Look up the topic, or even like something and it changes your life, or it brings you where you need to go. No, and for me, it was that. Nice. And yeah, maybe somebody says something and you're like, wow, but why does it? It's not them. It's you. You are taking it because you need it, or you are taking it because you're sensitive to that topic, and then you can do the work of getting rid of it or exploring it, or
hence the mindfulness.
Yeah, if you see it as an energy that you allow inside of you, because we all allow it consciously or subconsciously, we're allowing it to come inside, right? And it can, like, panic attacks are that. It's the energy asking you to release it.
Right.
And it's like building up. You feel it here, you feel it in your back, you feel it in your chest. And it's like a call. And I always feel it like somebody knocking on the door. It's like, are you ready to release me? And we think it's something wrong with us, you know? And what I learned with some of the ones I had is like, just breathe into it and just allow it to get out, or to just stay with that thing. We don't always have to fix it. Like our parents tried to fix everything that was wrong with situation. Like we fall, it's a Band-Aid now. It's okay. You're good now. It doesn't hurt. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, no, I have to stay with this to let it go. I have to stay with this pain until it leaves my body. Otherwise, you're just putting a Band-Aid on it, you know? And so for me, like when those thoughts arise, it's like, okay, stay with them for a while. Play with it, write them down. And it's hard not to judge. It's hard not to judge yourself. We're all in this process together.
Right.
And it's interesting how, like, people have different ways, but we all have. And the lollipop moment could be you telling me how you handle things, and then it resonates with me. I'm like, I'll try it. And then it works perfectly for me too. It can be
at any moment.
Any moment.
The omens.
Literally, yeah.
That's amazing.
And it's any moment, but it's the right moment. It's the real moment.
That's amazing. That reminds me of the omens and the signs, like from The Alchemist. You know, there's always these communication situations
Follow
or scenarios, right? You talked about. I love that you talked about the belly, and the head, and the throat being a bridge. When it comes to yoga, is chakras something that is very connected to yogas?
Yeah.
Like understanding your chakra and each stage and what that represents. Do you
that for me it's a tricky topic, because yes, the knowledge is there, it's been passed on in generation, and I think it's so powerful to look into that.
Right.
But if you want to talk to people, you need to speak their language.
Right.
So if I come to you and you're a football player, let's say,
right.
And you've done that I was a volleyball player. And if somebody at that time came to me and said, hey, your heart chakra is not aligned, I'll be like, who the heck is this freak? And I would completely block out or feel like this is too far away from me. I cannot,
that.
Or even be intrigued by like, oh no, I cannot. Like when people come to yoga, like I cannot stretch. So much more than that. So for me to give a lecture about chakras and about like the alignment, does it resonate with you? Am I doing it for myself, or is it like? And if people need to know more about chakra, they will ask. They will they will find their way.
I'm noticing
I need to. And when you do that, when you talk to me right now, you cannot start speaking German because I will not understand the thing you're saying, right? So it's about, that's a beautiful technique that we can all have. It's about just understanding who you're talking to and adjust the way you are talking. Sometimes we do it with accents. I'm talking to a US guy and I'm using the word gas and and garbage and trash, you know. And then I'm talking to a UK person and I switch and I don't say trash. I say, oh, the bin, the you know, the the petrol station. It's a beautiful way to connect with people. So yeah, you can talk about chakras, energies, meridians, and sutras and everything that you, but I think, is the person ready? Like, are they interested in that? Do they want to know about that? Or there are so many different ways. Like chakras are energy places in your body, let's say. So if I say it that way, maybe like, oh, okay, that is. Or if I use the word energy and you have no idea what that is, if I use the word tingling sensation, that's another. It's the way that you can speak to people in a way that, like, it's such a thing that is inside of us, that is present. It's in everybody. You
doesn't
don't
necessarily
think
need labels.
No, and people think, oh, I don't have it. I don't feel when I meditate, I don't feel the energy in my hands, or I don't feel like somebody pulling me from the third eye or the crown. It's like you're labeling or imagining or having expectations on something that you're level 6 and you're level 0. Okay, so just build that thing up, or you will reach. Maybe you're already at level 6, but you're just using different language for that.
Have you encountered people at level 6 and level 7 in the yoga community?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because again, you know,
and there are no levels. We're all like on a flat base and just experiencing what we need to do at the right moment.
I'm more referencing like
spiritual guides and.
Or do you feel like you've been in the presence of in this community? Because of course you teach yoga and you practice yoga, but I think for a lot of people there is this connotation. There's misconceptions of yoga, because like maybe people say yoga, chakra, energy. There's all these stereotypes, right? But then there are real people who live, eat, sleep, breathe the practice of yoga. What is yoga to you? Like, what is that?
Oh, wow, that's a beautiful question. And for me, it's a lot intuition. A lot is, I think it changed my life. And I was like another kick in my butt, because we started this community with other girls, and they were the ones doing the yoga. And I was behind the scenes, organizing the events, reaching out to people. And that was like what I like to do. And they were like, Carol, like we should show our face. Maybe we make a reel, or we post about who we are, who's being like, people don't need to know that. I don't need to be in front and exposed, right? And look at me now leading the community, because these two wonderful girls have left Taiwan. They're experiencing yoga and mindful things in a different way. And they're like, Carol, you have to take over. It's all yours now. I'm like, what? Like, I'm alone in this? And like, yeah. I was like, who's going to lead the yoga classes? I'm not a yoga teacher. I don't think I want to do it. A month later, I was enrolled in the yoga course, and little did I know that I loved teaching, and I had this passion inside of me for so long. Another kick in my butt that I was not ready for that. The intuition in my body is like, I already know where you need to go. Just let me guide you instead of fighting your way, you know? I learned a huge lesson, and with that, and just yoga, and just doing yoga, and being in a community where I can explore it with people, and it's still teaching and learning at the same time, you know? It taught me so much about myself, and so much about like how these things work. And when you said, have you met those people where like you feel like they're higher on
you know, you can sense it sometimes, I'm sure.
And I have I think this beautiful power that I see it in people that haven't realized it yet. I'm like, oh, it's like, it's there, it's beautiful, it's big, and you haven't even seen it.
The stereotypical word is the aura.
Yeah.
But I also feel very strongly here in this show too about what you said about kind of normalizing these, like they're just words. But let's call it as what they are. Like aura is real, energy is real. You know, chakras are real.
Yeah.
Like, these things exist. Whether the name is chakra or whether the name is the root or the name is there's fear in your belly.
Yeah.
You know, there's butterflies in your stomach. So let's just call it as we see it.
Yeah, exactly. I think
or as we feel it.
As we feel it. And what I try my best to do that, and of course, like, it's not easy to do that, but I try to create this space without divisions. And one of the divisions is by language, you know? So like when you have vegans and non-vegans, there's always a clash. But why? Why do you have to take one side or the other? You know, why can't you not communicate and talk about the topic of I eat meat, I don't, and why don't you eat meat? And why are we trained into taking a position, right? I have to be, otherwise I'm not seen. I have to be pro or against. I have to be, I have to choose my space. I have to be in this block or in this block. Otherwise, if I'm in between, I'm seen as a weak person. I'm seen as somebody that doesn't stand for their rights. And for what is that creating? A fight inside of you, a fight in our generation, in our country. You see it. It's always like, but what do you stand for? What do you believe in? And like, what I'm trying to create is like anybody can have an opinion, and we're here to, with an open mind, you can still see if it resonates with you or not, and just be happy with that. And like only women's circle or only men's circle, I'm trying to get those together. And like men have so much beautiful energy that we can learn from, and female energy can help masculine energy. And this connection has to be real, because if we could keep dividing this, we're not understanding each other. So I'm trying to bring more men into the yoga community, because the yoga community is more, I don't know, maybe, and I see it growing in different ways, but it's seen as a sport for girls, you know? So I'm trying to kick those barriers and be like, hey, it's a practice, and yoga is so much more than, like, out of the 8 limbs of yoga, asana, so the practice of it is one of them. There are so many more.
Which is funny though, because I feel like some of the founding fathers of yoga were men, right?
Exactly. And then it just grew into this getting my body in shape, and having
so media kind of cliched yoga
and getting into, like, that's why people's like, oh, I cannot stretch, or oh, I'm a more of a runner. Yeah, okay, but what is it behind it? Is it a fear of something that you haven't tried? Just try it. If it doesn't resonate with you, continue doing whatever you were doing before. Like, people deal with anxiety or deal with their own things in different ways. Some people need to run kilometers. Some people need to do yoga. Some people need to swim, get into water. Like the thing that I said about tune into your intuition, find your way. But I think the thing that is most important is to be open to anybody else's ways, and not be like, oh no, there's only one way and it's this one. Right. And some yoga is that way, and I don't resonate with it. So only this way. This is how you do this pose, and that's it. And then it creates a division with all the other people that think that they're not able to do it. And like, that's why people that eat meat, like, oh no, I could never be a vegetarian. Why? Because there's a division of expectation that a vegetarian does this, this, and this, and this. Whereas, what if we talk about it, and I tell you my version of it, and you tell me your version of it, and why you need meat, and why I don't need meat. And then maybe I inspire you, or you inspire me, and we find a common ground about it, instead of a fight. Right. And that's what happens with our mind and our heart. We're always trying to fight, like, whatever is happening, and without having that interior dialogue and accepting.
No, acceptance is so key. You mentioned New York in the past, and it reminded me of a great program. I believe it's called Yoga for the People. Yoga to the people or for the people, but it's in the St. Mark's area in New York City, and it's basically free yoga classes for anyone. And exactly what I think you're creating here in your own way, of this environment and this space for people of all color, nation, or creed to come together, breathe together, work together. Have you seen any phenomenons happen from these gatherings that for you was magical? Was like, wow, I can't believe that happened.
Yes. I'm thinking of a few. But I think the most magical ones is what I saw people creating after that. And like maybe through their Instagram, you say, oh, wow, these two people connected at my yoga class, and now they're building, they went on a trip together. They're that person gave an opportunity to the other person. They found a job. And it's really, this is how magical, and that's why I'm doing it. And it's just a reassurance that this is a beautiful thing to create. A woman led a wonderful meditation, and it was so nice. She created a space, and the whole meditation was about your color. And so she was guiding us through finding what color resonated with us, and to picturing it as like a drizzle. Yeah. And then you can use that color to drizzle on people, to drizzle on situations. And it's like, oh, if I'm having a meeting in an hour, I'll just sprinkle that color on them, on the people or on the situation. Cool. And it's like, oh, and it just feels like it's helping me. And it gives tools to people. And I saw and I observed that a lot, that people come to the meditation with maybe zero prior experience, or they have never tried, or they do, but they're like, I'm not good at it. I cannot focus. I cannot. And it's so nice to see with different teachers or different people that meditate, that guide us in the meditation, because they're not teachers actually. It's just nice to see how people react to that, and how when we have a sharing moment, what they say. I was like, wow, like for so many sessions you were quiet, and now you're saying that you saw. And I'm so proud of them for like, and proud of myself at the same time. Like, wow, right. Like I give credit to myself for allowing them to do all the work. And it all goes back to that, right. Allowing the space for that. And they see wonderful things. We had breathwork classes. Oh my gosh. I've seen things happening there that was out of like my knowledge from before, body movements, and they were not aware. The CCB, the Conscious Connected Breathwork, led by Isabella, this amazing friend that was part of this TMG at the very beginning. And she led these Conscious Connected Breathwork. It's basically breathing, no stop. And you get to a point where with continuous breath, I don't know the techniques because I'm not a breath facilitator, but I experienced it, so I can tell you what I saw. You're basically bringing a lot of oxygen to your brain, and you're going in hyperventilation. And that gives you a state where you basically kind of get into a state where your body is all tingling. And that's energy moving around. You're hyperventilating, so your breath is... so there are people that maybe are not... fit for this in a way of physically fit for that, because you're really using your lungs in a way
it's like a workout almost.
It's a workout for sure. And when we have the gathering at the end, people's like, oh, I experienced something that like I felt on drugs. I felt high. And it's your breath. The power of your breath makes you as high as when you take, I don't know, whatever substances that makes you that way. And they were like, wow, I've done that. I took substances before, and I felt even more just with my breath without using that. I was like, yeah, that's the power of our breath. And I've seen things at these conscious connected breathwork events, bodies like rising.
They start flying. You've seen flight.
Kind of, yeah. You see them, but also the whatever is there. Like I would walk, and I was a facilitator, so with Isabella, I would help her because it's something that is really physical. So you really feel it in the body, and so people like raise their chest or get like they call it claw hands, because the tension in your body is trying to release, but you're fighting it. And it's just a physical. I don't know the details about it. You can ask Isabella because she knows all the details. But the facilitator just goes and calms you. Then it's like trusts you that you're doing the right thing, and then you're safe. And I just remember walking, and we had like mats aligned like this, and I just walk in the middle, and I just knew where to stop, and I started crying. Wow! Like, what the heck? This is not mine. Like this is not my emotion. And I just knew who I had to go to. And by touching their chest, I don't remember if I touched like a shoulder, just to be very gentle and be like, I'm here for you. They started, like they were holding it. They started crying.
Was you saying her crying energy or that pain was so strong that it made you start crying?
Yeah, I felt it. So
like you guys were like,
I don't know.
The empathy was so powerful. Like it was like palpable.
Yeah. And then just by touching, the release that happened in that person. And just like they didn't even know why. They just needed to release, people saw visions of people they loved that passed away, recent friends that passed away. This girl was, she came to me and she said, it's all good. You're all good. And like, I still get like goosebumps and I'm crying right now, but it was so powerful to see how we are all connected and we can help each other without even know what we're going through,
And just through breath, it was unlocked.
And just breath. Yeah, and I was like, trust your breath, guys. Just really, like, this is a powerful tool and the perfect tool. That's what I use when I get into the anxious mode of change. Oh my God, change. Yeah, okay, just breathe out of it, into it, and then out. And then this constant connected breath work is like, this is so powerful. Of course, like, you have to like know your things, and the facilitator has years of experience, or even like studies a lot about it, so they know how to handle these things. And for me, I was just helping out a friend, and it was so powerful. But that
already gave you like,
like, this is how we work.
A look into this other element.
And it's all like inspiring friends that lead you to really mindful moments. That was one of the shocks that I had. It's like, wow. And then talking to those people at the end is like, I saw you from the outside.
Because that's a little reality that can jar your. For people who are not aware of certain breakthroughs like this, that can be very jarring for their reality.
And scary. Like, when you talk about like, now I'm talking, maybe some people are listening, it's like, oh, that's weird. Like, people are in this position. And then when at the end of the session, we would have a gathering circle, and and I would always say, like, if you want to know more about how the physical way you looked, I can tell you because I saw your body. Because when you're doing this breath work, you have no idea what your body is doing. So it's some of people know that they're in tension like this. Some people don't even know. And it's like, oh, you were raising your hands like this. And they would tell me like, really? I didn't have no idea. Some people zoom out and don't even listen to there's music in the background. There's Isabella talking in the background. I didn't hear a word. I was into it. And like, it's so interesting to see how powerful just the breath work is. And how like people are not aware of like how they're releasing and how it comes out. Some people had it in their, I don't know, I have maybe a very sensitive way. Even in my classes, sometimes I just know that I have to touch somebody's body, and like of course they allow me to do it at the beginning of the class. I always ask if there's any adjustments I can make.
You had to press that button.
But like at the end of the class, I like to give a little massage, and I always ask if it's okay for them, if raise their hand if they don't want to be touched. So I always make sure that. And so many times people say, hey, you touched the body part that I needed in the right moment. Like, I had a belly ache, and I usually do shoulders and neck.
I see what you mean.
And this friend of mine the other week, he said, you know what? Like, we were talking about a topic, because I always give a topic in my class. And the moment you said that word, I felt it in my stomach. And I had like a stomach ache for the first part of your class. And in Shavasana, what do? You put a hand on my stomach. And I was like, what? I didn't even know. Like, I was like, no, I'm not giving him or her a shoulder massage. I think I just more hips adjustment. Right. Just to like adjust into a Shavasana. And I just randomly just touched his belly, which is like, I don't do that often. Right. I don't do it at all. I just felt that, and I'm telling you, I come from a background of volleyball and hardcore workout and stuff like that. And for me to talk about like, oh, I feel the sensation and where the energy is leading, it's something that wasn't in my background. So it's for everybody. Everybody can do that.
The rational mind has its way of dealing with information. But when I hear this, I mean, I'm personally, I can say this publicly on record, I believe in very ethereal, certain types of conscious intentions and motivational. Where they come from, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm exploring that. However, I want to talk to you about what does it mean when people use the word psychic, telepathy, right? What else? What else is along those lines? Channeling, right? What are those to you?
Everyday tools. Everybody is that. We're all, the intuition is literally, we're all psychics. We're all channelers. We're all, like when you have that intuition and you go to that person and you say that sentence, you're like, how the heck did I come up with that sentence? Or how you were just meant to be there to say that thing, and it's not all about you. It's so much more. So you can really get rid of that oppression of feeling, and I'm talking from past experiences. I had to get rid of that responsibility of always, everybody has to have a good time, otherwise I'm not happy. Or like, it makes me happy when everybody's happy, but am I really happy if everybody's happy? Is it really helping me? So like, I realized that take that responsibility out. It's not all about you. It's about us together. And it's maybe hippie to talk about this in this way, but I learned my lesson this way. And it's more like, yeah, you said that, well on you. You channeled that, well on you. But it's all about the reason why you channeled it, Sometimes it's not even about
the investigation.
You. Yeah. So we all have it inside of us. It's I don't know if you watched that, is it Disney, I think, on Inward, something like that. And it's about like it's cartoon. It's based on this, and it's like how we all forgot that we all have powers. And with electricity, we started not using fire anymore, but we were all able to tune into nature and understand where we needed to go. The exploration of the sea, like we have documents that 100,000 years ago, they could navigate the sea just by using their intuition to know where to go. And now it's like, oh my gosh, he's a psychic. He knows where to go and to find his way. It's just connecting. We just lost that a bit, but it's inside of us. We all have that power. We could all reach those. It's being sensitive, less, I don't know, but it's really, I just trust that everybody has it. And just my job right now, maybe I'm finding myself is like just to trust, give the trust to you to feel that you can do it, that you have it inside of you. And sometimes even maybe in this talk, I just channeled some things that are not mine or not mine to stay, but they're for somebody over there, for you. I don't know. I just don't take it personally. I don't feel attached to it too much. And it really helps me like just move forward. And it's still like in the process, because some things resonate. And it's like, oh, but why does that resonate with me? Like, why does it make me feel uncomfortable? And just, I think if you find yourself dealing with those things that make you feel uncomfortable in a curious way, use the curiosity that you had when you were kids. And it's like, okay, I go here, I go there, I try, explore different sports, different people. And when we are 2 years old, it's so easy because we have no fears. We don't know what that is yet.
Right.
Okay, you see them, they're like animals, monster. What is like, why are the moon changes and they're little monsters, they're going through all the emotions, they have no fear, they don't care about being judged, they don't care about, it just grows when they get an ego, when they get conscious about like people around them, that they need friends to be happier, and all of that we have to fit in, then that all builds it up. When they're 2 years old, 1.5, they have no idea, they don't care. They're just about themselves, And so it's really nice to see that. And we all had it. We were all that age. So for me, it's like everybody is a psychic. Everybody is. And like, as I told you before, like it resonates with you if you sing. It resonates with that it's all about our experiences and what resonates with us. And we all have powers inside of us. Somebody is more a healer, somebody's more connecting people together. Like we all have a power and a talent.
That's exciting.
And it's just,
that's exciting.
It's not a box
that gets me hyped.
That's not a box that you have to be in, that there are psychic. It's like, what if like you try and do it yourself? Let's see if you can feel that. And then you're like, oh wow, that makes me remember that time where I had that intuition. Yeah, that's it. That's all you need. That's all you need to know.
What are you most excited for as we're getting to that sign off time, but what are you most excited for this next phase of human evolution?
Oh, wow. Ooh, that's a difficult one. I don't know how to answer. Oh, excited. I think more and more we're learning, and you see like what happened after COVID. We have new jobs, new job opportunity. Nobody was thinking of doing remote working before COVID, and look at it now. It's like everybody's dream job, So I'm really curious to see how the new generation is going to change the way we think about work, the way we think about our life, about our balanced work-life style. I think there's so much potential in this new generation that are more tuned into their emotions, what they're going through. You see kids right now telling you, Mom, take a breathe, take a break, take a breath, just get it out of your system. And you hear 2 years old saying that to their parents. I'm like, yes, you're the faith that I have, that people can be more aware. I'm very curious to see like the new job opportunities, the new, like, literally roles that are going to be created. Like we didn't have, like if you imagine 30 years ago, we didn't have programmers. We didn't have anybody working with computers. And now we have new jobs, new roles in the world. So I'm really curious to see, like when I grow older and be like, what is this? What is, like right now it's TikTok. I have no idea how to use it now, but it's like my generation still uses TikTok. But I'm so curious to see like how it evolves and how like the new generation will bring a huge like new way of
that's exciting,
of seeing the work, the job, like because we went from factory workers and that was a safe, good job, stable job, like you work for a good company, you work in that factory, you get like in Italy we had a huge amount of factory workers, and still based in like, oh, you get a stable job, permanent job, like it's called indeterminato. It's like you don't have it's forever. It's a contract forever, let's say, until you work for them. And the factory work is really okay. It's a high paying job. It's what you want to do. And now it's just shifting to do it your own, create your own business. And that was something that our parents would never even think about, like oh yeah, it's so safe to start your own business. And now it's getting more like possible. So I'm curious to see what happens next, what else we can create.
That's awesome. And for anybody who wants to, really join a Taipei Mindful Gathering or get to learn more about you and the journey and the community you're creating, where can they go? Where can they go to find
they
you?
can, they just type on Instagram, Taipei Mindful Gatherings. They can reach out to me. We have a Line group. And
Nice.
like my vision here is to get that burden off my shoulder is really about the community. So I lead the events, of course, I'm there for it, but it's all ideas from the girls and boys in the communities. So the guys in the communities come up with ideas. The documentary night was an idea of a girl in the community. The hike and meditation was an idea from Adele and Mira. They came up with like, oh, we should do a hike and bring more people together. And like, so let's put meditation in it.
Super organic.
It's super organic. It's about
growing.
like, you have a talent, a passion. We have a guy that will lead a workshop about photography because he's so passionate about, and this is a platform to explore that. Like when I was a teacher and I was learning how to teach, and this school gave me a chance every day to face students in a real and I had zero experience the first day, and then by the end of the month I was like, oh wow, I can do this as a job. So like to be there and to have an opportunity to have a platform where people are there because they trust me, they trust the community, and they see that our work is pure and with good intentions, and come to me and tell me, hey, I'm really a little bit scared about like this passion that I have, but can you help me try my first time? Like meditation is always led by one of the community members. And I always tell them, you don't have to be a teacher, a guru, a yoga teacher, whatever, a hoo-hoo, whatever. Just you have the passion, you think you want to lead a group, I give you the chance. It's the best. You can't really get it anywhere else. You just, what are you doing? Knocking at a yoga studio. It's like, hey, I want to lead a meditation. I don't know anybody here. That's really like, that's brave of you if you do that. So like, if you want to go the back way, it's like, come to me. If you want, we had so many people that never guided a meditation, but do it on their own. It's like, okay, I can step into this role. And it was so amazing. Like their hearts, their pure intentions, and they brought it to the group. And with any events that we do, it could be yoga related, but also like we had runs, charity runs. We did a scavenger hunt. We have so many things. And like, it's just based on ideas from the community, picnics, gatherings. And it's all very chill. The meditations are a beautiful way to get people like
that's cool,
more connected to.
I might have to think of a good one. I have to think of a good one for the.
Think of a good one and
for TMG. I gotta come up with a good TMG concept.
It's like a trampoline platform, you know. Wow. For me, it was the same. I was pushed and kicked in the butt to be a yoga teacher, and I was to this day so thankful that I already had this community. That's what I'm gonna do.
I'm gonna create a kick in the butt concept.
Yes, kick in the butt. I love it.
I'm gonna create a kick in the butt concept. That's gonna be next. That's coming up.
And you have it already there because we already created it for you. So for me, it's more for the unexperienced people. Like I was in yoga, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to teach my first class, and I already had like people lined up to because they knew me, they knew the community,
Right.
they knew our yoga. It's like, okay, I'll try. And now it's like fully booked, and people come and they're like, hi, Carol, like, I love this community, and it's just so much more than just your yoga class, you know. It's so much more.
I can sense
and
that.
then if like this guy is doing photography on his own, and it's growing, and he's like, hey, I want to lead my first workshop, but like I'm not like that confident to be like, hey, I'll promote myself, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'll give you the confidence, I'll give you like the place to do it, and I hope people will join, and like you can share. So we keep donation-based, charity-based, free events, or if you're doing a workshop and you want to be paid a little bit, like we keep the price low so that more people can join, and it's your first time maybe. So yeah, I really,
awesome.
It's more for like just kick you in the butt to the direction and
Right.
see if you feel like you resonate with that situation.
I think you're doing amazing. I think you're really creating an amazing environment for people to really facilitate and foster the change in this city that I think is refreshing and healthy, not
it's
only
all
for
inside
our
of
mind,
them.
for our spirit.
Yeah,
Right.
it's all inside of you. You have that passion, you have that thing, but you're scared. The fear and intuition, always trying to fight each other. You know what? Like, you accept that you have fears, and it's so normal, you know. And then if you want to step into, like, I have people there like, oh, I don't know if I want to lead them. It's okay, I'll do it. It's just a small group. It's chill. We have veggie food after, so it's a gathering too. And like, yeah, I'm like behind the scenes, like just quietly, like, do it, please, because I don't want to push them into it, because then it creates then my responsibility because I pushed them into it. So it's like, I'm just trying to see if you want to step into that. So it's more about like, you're not that super experienced teacher that just wants to come into a community to have more audience. It's more like, hey, I'm not sure and that was me. That's what I'm creating, because I went through that. I was like, I was so lucky that I could every week practice what I was learning through my yoga teacher training and do it like I did with the school when I was teaching English. I was like, oh, it all makes sense. And today I realized that, my gosh.
We're back to, now we're back.
Yeah, and it's donation-based.
We're back
so like,
to the beginning.
Yeah, so I'm not experienced, you know this. At the beginning, of course, now, yes. But at the beginning, it's like, I'm not experienced. I'm doing donation-based. That takes a lot of pressure out of me, of expectations of people. So you really donate what you think it's worth it. And I will not take it personally, because I'm also in this to learn. And so for me, the beginning was the perfect way to start it. Donation-based, people coming to me. And then like my value grew so much more than just the price on myself. And I feel like the classes went really well. And that's all I needed to know, that people were answering and responding and coming. Just the fact that somebody just signs up for the next one, it means like, oh, wow, something worked in that class. And then maybe just for them to continue whatever they want, and they like donation-based or they like my class. Mm-hmm. I don't need to know that. But for myself, it's more like, okay, I'm giving that, I'm getting rid of the pressure of having them to pay me. That makes me maybe feel like there is an expectation of me. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing with this yoga. As I'm good at teaching. I just want to try it out. And I have people that want to be there for the trial. And now I grew up in so much more than I expected. So I hope that I can inspire other people to feel that little scare and just kick them in the butt.
I sense there's a great gap that you're filling, and especially here in Taiwan, for people who are so, you know, they're very self-conscious. I think the culture here in Taiwan, you know, we're
you guys have Chinese medicine allowed in hospitals, and for us is like, oh, you're getting herbs, or you're a witch. These kind of things. You guys are very spiritual.
There's a deep spirituality that I think wants to come out in a different form.
No, it's amazing. Like really, you guys are talking to your energy in your body. Then you go to the 9-to-5 jobs, and maybe we forget about it. But like, it's deep. There's something in Taiwan too. Like you guys, this country there's energy level. If we want to be the woohoo right now, but at energy level, it's vibing. Like it's like it's jumping on its own. This island is full of it. The earth is like screaming out good energy.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Cal.
Thank you so much for
I'm so happy to have had you on the show. Yes, and I can't wait.
I hope you enjoyed.
Oh, for sure. And I can't wait to be at the next type of mindful gathering. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you so much.
And thanks for listening.
We'll see you guys next time. Ciao, ciao. All right, let's get it.
Now I feel the heat.
Yeah, it gets hot after a while, right?